You've been with us a couple of years now. How many years you been coming here?
This third year.
Third year.
Yep.
Well,
yep.
I always look forward to seeing you pull up because I know you're bringing music with you.
Yeah, it's always a fun event. I do enjoy it. Yeah.
What are you going to play for us?
I'm going to play a song called Hunt the Squirrel. It's from 1709.
I featured your music in some of the videos that we've used out here.
Probably took a lot of editing, didn't it?
No, it did not. But what's one of the tunes you might have played during the battle? It had a lot of bounce to it.
Yeah, Road Listed Part probably what it was. You want me to try it?
Let's go. Yeah, for it.
Now this one you may have to edit.
Thank you, Mr. Riley.
All right.
What are you working on today?
Today I'm making paper cartridges. This sped up the loading of a flintlock rifle that you see behind me there. It takes a lot more time if you're pouring out of the horn into the measure and then into the barrel. And with a pre-made cartridge, all that'd be done and you could load and fire quicker. That's not as important hunting deer as it is fighting red stick Indians. But I'd start with a piece of paper cut in this shape right here. And I've got a dowel that matches the bore of my rifle. I'll take and roll that up. And what I'm doing is making a paper tube out of that. I want to crimp the end of that. And then I'm going to do that right there to it so it'll stay crimped. Then I'm going to take a pre-measured powder measure here and some black powder. I'm going to put a pre-measured charge into this tube. Now, if I was actually loading these for fighting, a ball would have gone down first, and then the powder on top of that. But they've taken a dim view of us shooting live ball at one another here, so we're not loading live ball. But I've loaded my powder charge in there. I'm going to flatten that tube, then I'm going to make two folds on it, here and here. And now I've got a little tail that I'm going to tuck in that little slot right there. Then that is a pre-made cartridge ready to go. Now, that's how I would store it in my cartridge box until such time as I got ready to fight. When I did, I'd go ahead and pull this tag out. That'd be loose, laying there right ready to go, so I could just reach in there, pull this out easily, and then I'm ready to bite it off. Now, the way I got into this was I had to bite this off, because I got a gun in this hand. I'm not propping this against a tree while I tear this neatly. I've got my gun in this hand. I'm tearing that off there. We'll pour a little of that powder in the pan, close the frizzen, and pour the rest of it down the barrel. And again, if it was a live round, the ball would be the last thing to go down the barrel. There was one requirement to be in the militia. You could be pretty much as old and as young as you wanted to be, but there was one requirement to be a militia. You had to have a certain number of teeth. That is 2. You had to have 2 teeth, and they had to be opposing, one atop the other. You could have as many teeth as you like, but you had to have 2, because that's how you got into this cartridge. Firing in a combat situation, you wanted to be able to load quick. So this would not be as tight a pack as if you were hunting with a rifled gun and patching, so that because it was not uncommon, like even in the Revolutionary War, 75 caliber Brown Bess, they might be using a 69 caliber ball. So as the ball went down that barrel, it's ding, 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 ding. Because there was no ready aim fire then. There was no aim. It was ready present fire. You were just sending lead down range. It wasn't pick out a target and shoot at it. Now, frontiersmen that hunted, they were aiming, of course. But people in a line of volley shooting at one another, it was just sending lead down range.
Sometimes it's called a plow point shelter, with the point comes out. It's kind of a 1 or 2 man shelter, just a square of canvas with some ties at various points and loops on the corner for attaching ropes and that sort of thing. I've got it set up with just a single pole to provide a little bit of shade today. And so what I have under here is I have the smoothbore musket with the cartridge box that would have been used to feed this. If you could only have one firearm, a smoothbore gives you a lot of options. You can shoot a solid ball for hunting game like deer and that sort of thing, or you can put shot in it for shooting birds and small game. It's faster to load than a rifle, but it's not nearly as accurate. With practice, effective range could be 75 to 80 yards, predictably hitting your target. A rifle, 200 to 300 yards, but it's much slower to load, and so that's why the military really preferred the smoothbore. More interested in having rapid fire as opposed to aimed and accurate fire. The rounds are loaded into paper tubes. If this were a live round, the projectiles would be down in the bottom here. Either a solid ball, sometimes a solid ball plus 2 or 3 buckshot. And the way this is loaded, pull the weapon to half cock, and you actually have to have 2 opposing teeth to do this, because you got to tear off the tail with your teeth. To expose the powder and put a little priming powder, and that's kind of what the one granulation of the powder looks like. And so prime it, shut the pan, the rest of the powder goes down the barrel, and then the paper there from the tube acts as wadding to hold all the projectiles in. And they're rammed down. Rammer is returned. And if you've ever heard don't go off half-cocked, the half-cocked position is the safe position. So in order to fire this, you have to come to full cock, firing, and then pull the trigger. And that's how it goes. This is a 45 caliber rifle. You see that it's much smaller. The stock is much slimmer. But it is more accurate. The barrel has rifling in it. I don't know if you can get that on camera, but there are grooves cut in that barrel that will actually make the bullet spin. To load the rifle, you have to measure out your powder charge, and this is a powder measure made out of deer antler. And then you would pour powder out of your horn into your measure and put that powder down the barrel. Then you'd have to pull out some patch material and a ball, and I don't have any ball in this bag because that's not a good thing to do when you're doing these battle scenarios. But you put the patch material down there, thumb in the ball, then take a knife and cut that patch material off. Draw the rammer, and it's much harder to ram down a rifle bullet than a musket, because of the rifling is engaging the ball at that point. So then you have to prime, a little bit of powder out of the powder horn, and always put the stopper back in the horn. Pull it to half cock, and then the full cock, and then that's how you fire this weapon. So it takes a lot longer to load and fire the rifle than it does the musket. This is a game called Shut the Box, and I'm sure they gambled at this because they gambled at just about everything. And the idea behind this game, or the goal, is to shut the box, turn all of these numbers down. And the way you decide which numbers to turn down depends on the roll of the dice. So in this case, I rolled a 7, and so now I can turn down 1 or 2 of these tiles that add up to 7. So on this one, I'll choose to turn down 7. So I roll again, and I've rolled a 10. So I'm going to turn down the 10 on this one. That's a 7, so now I can't turn down the 7, so I either turn down the 6 and 1, 5 or 2, or 3 and 4. And so people will ask me what's the right move to make. Well, you need to turn down the ones you're not about to roll. All right, so that's a 6. Again, 5 and 1 or the 6. I'm going to choose the 6. There's the 8. Now, 5, 2, and 1 add up to 8, but I can only turn down a maximum of 2, so I'm going to turn down the 8. That's a 10. So the only choice I have is the 9 and the 1. And there's a 5, so I can turn down the 5. And now there's a 10, so now I'm out, because there's nothing that adds up to 10 that I can turn down. And so now my score is going to be the sum of this. So that's 23 and 2 is 25. Is that a good hand? We don't know until the next person goes.